IO games, we used to love them, we don't love them anymore. What the hell happened to them? Let's find out. Okay, now let's start off by jogging our memory a little bit, looking back on some of those IO games that we used to play. Let's start with a real classic, one that everyone has played, and some might even say it's like the king of IO games. Slither.io. Now, for those of you unacquainted, it's basically a game where you cosplay as a giant snake and try to go from being a tiny garden snake to a big anaconda. How do you do this, you might ask? Or you probably won't ask because most of you have probably played this game, but basically, you eat tiny little glowing orbs, as you can see on your screen right now, and with that you grow bigger. But there's one other way you can get bigger, and that's a much more fun way. You can just take what everyone else ate. Now, I'm sure all of us who actually played the game can relate to that experience when we've gone really big, giant anaconda mode, and then all of a sudden, some tiny guy who just joined the game comes in, we crash into him, and then we lose all our stuff. It's super annoying. Man, I remember the amount of aura this game would give you in middle school. If you were good, if you had the biggest snake back in 7th grade, like, you'd be like the GOAT, bro. You'd have so much aura. Anyway, next game, Agario. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I never really played this game, and from all it looks like, it just looks like you're like a tank and you pretend to like shoot other tanks. But I could be wrong, but I never played it, so you do you. Our next game, Paper.io. Now, as I remember, this one wasn't as popular as the other ones, but this one was my favorite. It's like Slither.io if it was kind of better, because you're just out here trying to like get territory and stuff, and like they still had the stupid thing where if you crash into somebody, you can die. But like, I mean, I don't know. I think it was just more fun. Next up, we have ZomsRoyale.io. Now, this was basically a 2D COD, but for your browser. You hop on. Actually, no, I don't think COD's a good analog. Think of it as 2D Fortnite for your computer. Again, this one wasn't one of the most like popular ones, but like basically, it's just Fortnite, but in 2D and on a browser. You drop on a map, you find loot, and then you use it to kill other people, and you try to become the last Zoms standing. I don't know if your character is called a Zoms, but like it's called ZomsRoyale.io. Low-key, it wasn't that bad. I'd recommend it. Now lastly, this IO game isn't like others. This one's called Crunker.io. Now what's different about this IO game is that most IO games are 2D, top-down, some very simple games that, you know, it's not really something you'd play on like a console, but Crunker.io, it was different. Now to be real, I never really played this game ever, but I have played it a couple of times, and it's basically just like one of those off-brand Minecraft games, except instead of building stuff, it's just like Fortnite without building. Like, imagine Roblox Fortnite. That's basically what it was, except it's an IO game. And I remember this game had a decent bit of community, and like there used to be YouTubers covering and all that. But as far as I can tell, it has followed the same path as other IO games. It has fallen to irrelevancy, and I'm sure you can still play it, but it doesn't really exist anymore. It just has things kind of pull. Anyway, now that we've looked over a couple of IO games, let's dive into actually why I think they kind of fell off and why they're not as cool anymore. You know, I think the biggest thing is that a lot of the reasons why IO games were popular is because it was back when a lot of us were like a lot younger, and we didn't really perhaps know how to pay for and get games on our own. And these IO games, like, they only really got popular because they're super accessible, right? And they were online, so it was easy to play with your friends. Unlike, you know, let's say you want to play like COD, you can't really do that in school. It wasn't very accessible, and like, you know, if you had an Xbox, you can't even do it with the other people because, you know, you got to pay for Xbox Live Gold, which is really stupid. Like, why do I have to pay to play with other people if I order by the console? Like, come on, do better. We gotta do better with that. I think as of now, a bunch of the IO games have just low-key been discontinued. Like, I know the Slither.io you'll find right now if you search up Slither.io online isn't even the real Slither.io. It's just like a fake thing that somebody made up, and then I think they bought the domain name. But like, a lot of the IO games are dead. Some of them still have like decent amounts of communities to the point where like you can still hop on and play, but like, you know, they're far past their glory days. People don't really play like online Flash games anymore. If they want to play, they just like hop on Clash on their phones. I mean, yeah, that's basically it. They just hop on Clash on their phones. And you know, like the need for IO games is like an easy way to connect with your friends and whatnot online just doesn't exist anymore. Therefore, IO games themselves have slowly faded away into irrelevancy. Anyway, thanks for watching to the end, guys. You know, I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And, you know, it's my first video. You know, it's probably a little bit choppy. Hopefully, I will be doing better. Or maybe I won't do better. Maybe this will be the quality of all the videos I'll ever make. But, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll hopefully see you in the next one.